I'm Caroline Mulligan, and I'm the Senior Manager in the Government Transformation Team at Amazon Web Services. I worked in the UK government for a little over 4 years, and I was the Service Manager in the Digital Marketplace. That was in the Government Digital Service. And after that, I went on to be the Head of Digital in the Race Disparity Unit, which was part of Cabinet Office. We worked in the open in a variety of ways. You can economise and have speed and scale. Any government body, any department, probably around the world can benefit from these ways of working and these practices and the code and the standards that are out there. An example at a national scale is the digital marketplace in the UK. We were approached by the Australian counterparts who wanted to develop a digital marketplace themselves. And they'd heard about the work that we'd done and how it matched a lot of what the plans that they'd set out effectively. We built up the digital marketplace in the UK over 2 years, more than 2 years, and we were able to work with the Australian government and help them develop their digital marketplace using our code in just 5 weeks.
Open government's really about three things. So first of all, transparency. The second bit really is about collaboration and in a genuine sense, not in the classic, we're going to run a consultation to get feedback and do what we're going to do anyway, but actually talking openly, properly in a collaborative way. So here's what we're planning. What do you think? Get feedback. Great. Let's change that. Let's add a bit more. Let's do a bit less. Let's change direction. So proper collaboration and helping citizens and users kind of shape, the products we make and the direction that we travel on. And the third thing I think for open government that's really important is that taxpayers fund the entire work of government. And I think it's only fair and I think it's right that we share whatever it is that we build, whether it's software, whether it's data, whether it's processes, whether it's documentations and schemas, all sorts of things that we build. I think it's only fair that we share that thing that the taxpayer has funded so they themselves, whether it's citizens or businesses, can take it, reuse it where it's appropriate, and make other amazing things with it. Just seeing when others pick up a piece of software you've written, and others pick up a strategy that you've come up with, or that your team have come up with, and then they adapt and reuse that strategy and save, who knows how many hours, how many thousands of hours of constructing and learning and user research and iteration, and they just pick up kind of the finished product and can just reuse that thing, and that's incredible.
There's often a fear around security, and it's a valid fear. Open source can actually reduce some of the risks and vulnerabilities because of the community, the focus, and the fact that the software's already been well tested and well bedded in. And there are well-known cryptographic standards that are built in the open. And so it's about having the expertise to know what code should be closed, because not everything should be in the open. This isn't a open everything up and the world will be wonderful. There are a few areas that you do keep code closed. So for fraud detection algorithms, for example, also for ensuring that secrets and keys are kept private and hidden, and also for unreleased policy. Because if you're suddenly having open source code that references this policy, that's obviously going to be a problem. But you can still be practicing that this code will go out in the open once that policy is released.
So working in the open government wasn't established when we started out at the Government Digital Service. I remember one conversation in particular when we were talking about open sourcing the code that we were writing. And this was around GovUK, the website. And there was a sort of an incredulous look from someone who just couldn't get their head around why we were giving away this thing. But of course, that's kind of the point of open government. There's no value to be gained by sitting on it and not letting anyone else use it, not least because governments and different levels of government very rarely compete. Another thing we saw was a real reluctance to do stuff so in the open, because governments are so often under intense scrutiny. Whenever they make a mistake, it always makes the front page. Blogging around what we're thinking about doing, about mistakes we'd made. I mean, that was completely unheard of. I think one of the other benefits of open government and being open and talking about your work and sharing your kind of thinking as you go along is it's as much a powerful tool for communicating internally within your organization and within the government as it is for like communicating outwards. Because we weren't the first to have a blog, but we were certainly one of the first to use that blog to talk properly and not talk in a human way, talk to people, not just kind of use it as a sort of stage managed press release machine. And of course, that is always going to get much more engagement, much more support. It allowed us to almost be constantly promoting our organization, promoting GDS, promoting UK government as a great place to come and work. Here's what we're doing. It's exciting. Here's the buzz. And so we were getting all sorts of people coming to us who wanted to come and work with us, on these fantastic products and projects. And we didn't really have to do much recruitment. We were doing that through being open. And that's a massive side benefit. I think is very often overlooked.
When you look at the public sector around the world, there are so many challenges that they're not unique to one particular country. They're shared by everyone because citizens will be renewing passports. There may be court booking systems or paying your tax. And governments don't compete with one another on any of these. They're just providing them within their own territories to their own citizens. In the end, globally, it delivers far higher quality citizen services and saves governments huge amounts of time and money. It's one thing to talk about, use open source, use open standards, reuse these solutions. It's another thing to know where to go. So we're pulling them together and we've created the Open Government Solutions, which is effectively a website which has a number of reusable assets, solutions, policies that can be reused that can meet some of these challenges which are shared around the world. I think the pandemic's definitely had an impact, a positive impact in uptake on working in the open. And we've seen how much governments have shared their solutions and their data. The most obvious one is very much that opening up of data, because you see the public health information around the number of cases, the number of people vaccinated. That's all about working in the open, and in several cases they're feeding into shared dashboards that are available globally, which have then helped analysts within different countries find out ways in which to target and to deal with the pandemic itself. We also see a lot of the contact tracing applications. There are open source ones that have been used, reused and shared.
The best thing about open government is the ability for somebody else to take what you've done and within, hours possibly, maybe days, launch a new service. Something that you've taken months or even years to build up to get to being just perfect. They can just come along and go, I love that. I'm going to use that. And they pick it up, they install it, and all of a sudden millions more people are benefiting from that thing that you built. I've seen that happen. It's an amazing feeling. And that probably sums up open government for me.